And the weapons. The tools Mr. Clay used to terrorize the citizens of New Bordeaux. I suppose you furnished him with those as well.
Actually, no. Don't get me wrong, Senator. I would have given him any gun, knife, or bomb he asked for.
What can I do for you, Lincoln Clay?
But like I've said, Lincoln never had trouble finding a weapon.
And just how does he accomplish that?
Help me kill Sal Marcano.
For most of that summer, one of his underbosses, Cassandra, she ran the Haitian gang, looped him into a sweet little arms smuggling ring she had going. That kept him squared away.
There are stashes of guns hidden in this city.
Full-service operation. They aim to please. Pistols, rifles, shotguns, ammo, you name it. It was all black market gear, of course. I mean, this was a real arsenal. If the VC had been this well provisioned at the drain, the whole damn war might have turned out different. Extended clips, perfectly tuned sights, hollow points, silencers. By the time Lincoln finished tinkering with the firearm, it was a precision instrument of death.
Nothing like this had ever happened before. Lincoln wanted to terrify the mob. He wanted them to know he was going to kill every last one of them.
Then, Jesus, then when Burke came on board, things really kicked up another level. Explosives. Everything from Molotov cocktails to C4. You know, the stuff they use for controlled demolitions, except in our case, not always so controlled.
There was a loud crash, like a bomb going off.
War on the streets as a gunman stormed the Royal Hotel, killing an untold number of men.
You know what the funny part is? The funny part is, Lincoln didn't really need half the shit to take down Marcano.
And the systematic killing of Marcano's capos and lieutenants?
Well, we weren't playing fucking patty cake. Christ. Fighting to him was like breathing. I've seen him bring a whole VC unit to its knees using nothing but his knife. I've seen him take apart an armored encampment from the canopy with a single-scoped combat rifle. Put a rocket launcher in the hands of a man like that, and those poor bastards never stood a chance. Even back in Laos when we were running guns. Hell, almost from the moment he stepped off the chopper, I remember thinking to myself, this man has a talent for violence.
I understand that Lincoln Clay's action was the result of a vendetta against Sal Marcano. But why did the pursuit of that vengeance lead Mr. Clay to unleash violence and destruction throughout the entire city?
But Senator, that's the beautiful part. Sal owned New Bordeaux, so Lincoln could treat the whole city as one giant target. Men with power like Sal Marcano, they think they're untouchable.
I don't have it in me to feel shame for the things I've done. Never have.
What they don't want is for you to start picking at the loose threads at the edge of their empire. Disrupting the drug market from the street up. Robbing back alley heroin dealers in the hollow. Or shooting up the PCP labs tucked among the high society in Frisco Fields. They damn sure don't want you infiltrating their safe houses and extracting valuable information from their low-life lieutenants.
Say you want a doctor, then you better tell me something worth hearing.
They tend to get annoyed when you start hunting two-bit pimps through the French ward one by one. Terrorizing old Uncle Lou Marcano's well-paying Johns, and grinding the flesh trade in the city's bordellos to a crawl.
Came in and killed everybody.
They definitely don't want you to keep pulling the thread till you're shooting up the casino boat that chugs through that muddy bayou.
I want you to send a message to your brother.
Pull enough thread and the whole operation starts to fall apart.
Should have saved a bullet or two.
You muscle in on Enzo Conti, interdict all that lost cargo that fell off the car in a train yard somewhere in Barclay Mills, the guns, the cars, the human beings. You choke off every single black market pipeline that keeps the Marcano empire afloat.
Lincoln Clay! Lincoln Clay! Every lowlife ball of piss in this city smells blood in the water. My blood!
Then, and this is the absolute last thing they want, is for you to start building your own thing on the same spot where you tore theirs down.
Once it's in our hands, I'll decide who gets to run the day-to-day.
Men with power like Sal Marcano never understand how quickly they can lose it. But once you've unraveled enough thread, you take all that thread you got and string them up with it.
So we looked at New Orleans and figured out what were the things that people remember of those locations, and the landmarks, the points of interest, the culture, and we wanted to bring that to our version of it, but we didn't want to be confined to the real lay of the land, and we wanted to be able to bring things that make games exciting. So the thing about making 1968 authentic for New Bordeaux is not just what happened in 1968, but everything that preceded 1968. For example, when you're listening to the radio, you're hearing everything from the 1960s, the 1950s, the 1940s. The same can be said for the architecture of the world as well. You're dealing with things that have existed for the past century. So with this historical context of what happens in New Orleans and what happens in our version in New Bordeaux, we are able to weave that into the background history of each neighborhood that the player is going to encounter.
New Orleans is an old city. There's stuff from the turn of the century, the 20s and 30s. You know, that's scattered around and people may not be aware of all of that stuff. We structure the city in a way that has you going out into these areas that are very, very unique, but then always in the flow of the game is driving you back through things that are more familiar and more accessible to the new player. What we're trying to do with the city is present this facade of this is New Bordeaux in 1960s and this is how it feels for the people that live there. And then the moment you turn down the wrong street, you see what the Mafia has done to the city and the sort of reality of that.
In Mafia III, we wanted to really make sure that we were offering players a truly open world that is actually full of life. And by using all of these systems, instead of trying to script it or hand do every single thing, we're using these hand-done scenes and then employing them in a systemic way to kind of make sure that every player is seeing something different. And even a given player is seeing something different when they go to Canal Street the first time and the third time and the 17th time, because you know it's a big open world game and you're going to be going back and forth across the city, so we want to make sure that it always feels alive and present and different every time that you're seeing an area.
Our protagonist is a black man and a Vietnam War veteran in the Deep South in the 1960s. The combination of our character and our setting is going to inform everything the player experiences, from high-speed car chases to what happens when they walk into a convenience store. So right away that tells you that the relationship between the player character and the game world is going to be unlike anything realized to date in an open world game.